Well, hello. Greetings, Internet. We're back and we're live with episode 10 of Let's Talk Board Games. Oh my God, I'm stuttering now. It's been a fantastic month. We've had lots going on. We've had reviews going out. We've had new podcasts going live. We did our anniversary, event, the charity event. We had the competition. It's been nuts. It's been nuts, and it's lovely to be back. So I hope you're all going to be out there joining us and hopefully talking along and chatting along with us in the show, and direct any questions across to George, our administrator, as you will be putting your questions up on screen. Say hi, George.
Hello. So yes, whichever platform you choose to follow us on from our lovely platforms across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Well, not Twitch, not Twitter. Although you can get to us with Twitter, which I'm sure Chris will talk about much later. But wherever you choose to follow us, if you're watching live, do feel get involved, comment along. We'll get your comments on screen, and say, let's talk board games.
Yep, let's talk board games. But first things first, before we even start the conversation, I'm going to introduce our very special guest who's down in that corner next to our little imp, Ink the Imp. Wave. Hi, Frederick, the designer of Dragonvault. Hi there.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's great to have you on the show. And we've also got below me, the easy one to point to, not that you should point, it's rude, is Nick Brown, our competition winner who came up with the name Ink the Imp. So thank you very much for joining. Congratulations on winning.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So Nick will be chatting along with us as we go through the show as well. But first things first, Frederick, Dragonvault. So, I understand correctly, that you did this game, It's a card game, right? Just explain the premise behind Dragonvault for us. Sum it up for us.
Well, how I pitched it to my cousin and business partner was I told him I had a game that a non-nerd 3 beers in could play and understand. And that was pretty much my goal, was to make something that was so easy to play that you could just bring it to a group, or you could play like, let's say you're waiting in line at a convention or something like that. You can just whip out the deck and play a quick game. And the premise is you're running through a dungeon, almost like you would be in like Dungeons and Dragons per se, but you're against each other on the table, and you're trying to collect treasure and survive the deck. So that's probably how I would describe it. Some people said it's like D&D poker. I didn't make that one up, but I had a friend of mine that said it was like D&D poker.
Yeah, I quite like that analogy. I mean, I've had the chance to play it. You sent the review copy across to us through to one of our reviewers, Sam, who doesn't come on the live show, but he's an avid article writer on the site. And thanks to the relaxing of COVID restrictions here in the UK, we were able to actually get together and actually have a play of it. And I think George has been able to do the same thing as well, because we played it 2-player. And as much as we liked it 2-player, we were like, we need to experience this with more people. So he went away and played that with George, Steph, and himself. And you had a better experience, didn't you, with more players?
Yeah, I think it's certainly the difference between 2 players and 4 players. I think that it depends on your group dynamics and who you're with, of course. So I think some people, for the 2-player, it can feel timing of when to do your attacks can be the most interesting thing. Do I risk attacking now and leave myself exposed or not? And is it worth spending my gold to pay those mercenaries? And it was, I think, on a one-on-one, because you know it's definitely coming back to you. Whereas I think when you start getting to multiplayer, you can get groupthink going. You can suddenly change its dynamic quite nicely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what we felt about the game. The artwork is stunning. I will say it's incredible. Who did you find for that? Is that something you've done yourself?
No, it's not something I've done myself. I designed the characters myself, but I found an artist, or I should say I met an artist on ArtStation, which was kind of by chance, but I really liked, he had done a lot of portraits, like fantasy portraits, and I just really, really loved how real and believable his characters looked. The expressions on their faces. I knew the champions were going to be a big part of the game, and people were going to become attached to those characters. So I reached out to him, and he and I just got along very well. And he ended up doing every single card in the game. His name's Kyle Herring, Kyle Punk Art Herring. You can find him on Twitter, ArtStation, Instagram. He ended up doing everything in the game: the box art, all the characters, the items. And I'm working with him right now on the next adventure, which will release in December.
Oh, okay, that's good. So does the adventure add to the deck, or is it a separate deck?
So it's going to be a whole new deck, 8 new champions, all new mercenaries, encounters, traps, you name it. But it's all fully compatible with the original deck, so you can stack them on top of each other. You can mix and match, create a custom deck. You can swap heroes, or swap champions from one to the other. It'll all work together.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Quite like that idea. That's quite nice. So the thing I was going to ask then. So how did you fund this? Was this a Kickstarter you did last year? If I understand correctly, the Kickstarter failed. Is that right?
Yeah, we tried to do a Kickstarter, but we didn't hit our goal. So at that time, we were already just about done with the artwork, and we were thinking to ourselves, like, how are we going to print this game? Like, how are we going to afford to even do this? Because we were really counting on the Kickstarter. So I took to TikTok, made an account, and started making videos about the game, just hoping that we could get some eyeballs on it. And a few of those videos did trend, and we were able to get enough pre-orders to afford to print that first run of the game. So it was kind of it was a struggle for a little bit there, but because of people on TikTok, we were able to make it happen. So I'm really happy that we got lucky enough to have people that were interested in the game, who were so supportive of the game and willing to wait a couple months after their pre-order to get it. Because of those people, we were able to do this.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that's how I found you, wasn't it? You know, we got chatting through TikTok after I saw your video, and it's just like, I love the look of the artwork. Is there something we could do a review for you? And you were like, yeah, let's do it. So Absolutely. It's really nice. Yeah. I've got some visuals which I popped up on screen a second ago. So these are the characters, aren't they?
Yeah, those are all 8 champs. Yeah.
So you start off with a champion, and then you're drawing cards, aren't you? You start, if I remember correctly, two coins and 1 food. Yeah.
Yep, and each of the gold coins are worth 1 treasure, and the goal is to collect as much of it as possible. So in that center deck are treasure cards, also items like potions and encounters. If you pull a dragon, for instance, you might have to pay some of that treasure, or the dragon will attack you. That's where the main strategy of the game comes in. Choosing when to hold onto your resources and when to part with them to spare yourself, because other people will be able to hire, with treasure, mercenaries to attack you. So that's where the fun of the game is. That's where the tension is in managing that.
Yeah. I think that's what we found. I mean, there was a couple of little things that, you know, that I think we found a tiny little bit frustrating with the game, and that wasn't necessarily anything, I think, through anyone's particular fault, but the box is really crammed full of
Oh
cards.
yes.
Yeah, and there's no
Oh, yeah.
space to sleeve up those cards because those cards are stunning, and I can see it soon becoming a favorite for quick games to an introduction to a bigger game, and you can't put them in with deck protectors. That's the only thing that really came to my mind as we were initially getting that first perspective on it.
Yep. Yeah, that box is very it's very tight on the cards. That was something we didn't anticipate until we got the shipment in. So I'm working with our new printer to design a box that's a little bit roomier so we don't have that issue. Because I damaged my own copy of the game when I got it, and I was like, okay, we got to figure this out. I think there might have been a mix-up with how many cards were in the deck when we were doing the specs. But regardless, we're gonna solve that issue. But I'm aware of that, and thank you for that feedback because, yeah, I've gotten it a few times. We're aware that it's kind of frustrating to get those cards out, and the sleeve thing. We're putting our heads together to potentially create a larger box that's a little more elaborate. Maybe we'll do a collector's edition of the game that has like some different items with it as well. The cool thing about moving printers to someone that's in the US is we have a lot more options for different kinds of products and a much quicker turnaround time. So there's going to be lots of different things happening in the near future.
That's always good to hear. No, I say
that is great.
There's
Yeah, the printer's in Rathdrum, Idaho, so it's pretty close to me.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So when's the? So can you currently buy it now, or how long do you reckon it will be before you got the new edition ready then?
So the game, we sold out of our first run, so it's back on pre-order for a short while. It shouldn't be longer than a few weeks that we're fully restocked. We're just working with, because we changed printers. Like I mentioned, we changed to a local printer, and we had to set up some new equipment and stuff with him to get it rolling. But once that's ready, we'll be restocked, and we shouldn't have this issue again of selling out. It's a good problem to have. We were happy that so many people bought the game, but we were like, now we have no games left, and we're trying to start to figure out a way to get games quickly. So we were shopping around in the area. Plus, we really wanted to print locally anyway from the start. That was a goal of ours. So we were really happy to be able to find someone to work with that we can know personally. We can go down to the shop, we can talk with them, and really feel like we're giving back to the community. It's also better for the environment to print locally. There's so many benefits. So we're very happy to be able to do that from here on out.
No, that's always good to hear. It's nice to see businesses being responsible with things like that. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen and we all witnessed, and we all, I think we've all here. Maybe I'm not sure if Nick, you've ever backed a board game on Kickstarter, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
So it's quite an experience because, of course, if anyone's not familiar with Kickstarter and is new to it, Kickstarter is basically a funding platform for lots of different things, not just board games. People, do Kickstarters for novels, for art commissions, graphic novels, all sorts. Electronic projects as well. I've seen photography gizmos on there. It's an amazing platform, but there are other platforms as well, like Indiegogo. Do I understand correctly that you guys also tried Indiegogo as well, didn't you?
Yes, we did. Here, I think my camera's having issues here. We did try Indiegogo, not as successful. Like the Kickstarter, we at least got 8,000 or 9,000. I think it was pledged. It just still wasn't quite enough to do what we need to do. So yeah, Indiegogo, I ended up refunding the backers because at that point we knew that we couldn't, do what we had originally planned. So I just refunded them. Yeah,
it's nice to actually hear of a project like yours, where it's not nice that of course you didn't get your your Kickstarter or your Indigo backing, but other platforms, like TikTok for content creators out there, it is an amazing platform. and it's a more of a modern
Yeah.
instance, isn't it? And you did
Yeah.
that you got that following and you got the funding. It's amazing. It's a nice story. I like to hear it. I'd definitely be interested in that second expansion when you guys do that. What did you say the release date was for that then?
It's going to be holiday 2021, so most likely by Black Friday, which is an American holiday. Or do you have Black Friday over there? It's like the Friday after. No, you probably wouldn't because it's like a Thanksgiving based. Basically, like third week of November.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they try to do it here, but it's
week in November.
Probably not as good as it is. No, it's not the same. It's an American holiday, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's when everybody goes out to the malls, and tramples each other to go buy things. It's kind of silly, to be honest. It's kind of silly. But around when the holiday season approaches, we don't have like a specific date yet, but that's when we want to release it. It's called Evernight Vale, and it's like a cold, snowy, sort of darker expansion theme, and I'm very excited about this one. The art is absolutely awesome. We have upped our game in every possible way and listened to the criticism from fans of what they want to see more of and the aspects they love about the game. We wanted to expand upon that, so I'm very, very excited about this.
No, I must admit, I'd be interested to see what them, additional kind of mechanic bring to the game. Are you able to kind of give us any little hints on any new mechanics that you might be introducing with this expansion?
I can, yes. Whereas we haven't released any cards yet, I have talked a little bit about a new mechanic, which is called Freeze. So because it's an ice-themed expansion, characters have a chance of being frozen by certain things. There's like a winter queen that can freeze you. There's like an ice spider trap that has a potential to freeze you, etc. And if you get frozen, you have to skip your turn and you can't take actions. And you also don't draw from the adventure deck for one turn. So it can be a good thing in that you probably won't draw a dragon, obviously, but people usually murk you when you're frozen. That's when it gets deadly because you can't respond with an invis potion or a spirit of retribution. If you're the one that gets frozen on the table, usually people get really aggressive that turn. So it's super fun.
I can imagine, yeah. And thing is, what I like about it is like what is the thing that you were aimed to do, which is make it a quick, fast action game, and which it is. Yeah. It plays very quick. Your turn's done over very quickly. If you're not doing anything and you're just drawing from the deck, that's it. It's done. It goes on to the next person. It flows really well. So, yeah. I look forward to the new elements.
It's still going to be like that. It's still going to be fast-paced. It's going to have a nice flow to it. There will be a little bit more strategy and a little more nastiness with this expansion, but I'm still going to keep it within the realm of still easy to understand, still quick gameplay. But there is a few more card combinations that are really fun with this expansion, and so I would still recommend if anyone was going to start with Dragonvault, buy the original first, play that first, then Evernight Vale after that, when you're more familiar with the rules. But Dragonvault, you could get familiar with the rules in 10 minutes, so it's not really like you have to do any research to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So when the rules fit on a single card, it says it all, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes there will be like really specific circumstances that people have questions about, which is why I had an FAQ page on the website for the rules. Like one of them was like, could you Spirit of Retribution a Spirit of Retribution, which you can't. But so I clarified that on the website. Things like that. Sometimes you'll get like one-off situations where people are asking a question, and whenever people do ask a question, I always make sure to update the website so that if other people have a question, they can see the answer there.
Yeah. No.
So good to see publishers doing that. A number of people that create games and then just leave them somewhere. And
figure it out, guys. Best of luck.
Yeah. Well, I, for one, would certainly be interested in the deluxe edition. Will you be putting some form of dice or health tracker in the deluxe edition? Maybe
we are chatting about that. Yeah, we have. So we had to strip it down to a very basic version because of the Kickstarter falling through. We originally had a plan and a box that had dice and a tray and everything.
Oh, wow.
Depending on, yeah, we had a whole thing. That's why we needed the money. We were going to partner with Ultra Pro. I don't know if you are familiar with Ultra Pro. They do like some of the best sleeves and boxes, and we designed a whole thing with them. But we needed $20,000 minimum, and we made like $8,500, something like that on the Kickstarter. So we were able to do it. But if things pick up, which I fully believe they will, once we get restocked, we want to get a deluxe edition like that, and potentially even do custom dice, custom Dragonvault dice, and all sorts of other things. We have ideas for potentially doing like booster packs, like small packs of cards, just here and there, that might have one new champion, a new mercenary, something that people can refresh their decks with in between adventures coming out. So that'll be fun. Like, we're going to try to pump out as much as we can now that we're working in our area. It just makes things so much easier.
No, that sounds great. I like the idea of that. That's cool. Almost like a living card game.
What's that?
Just a quick reminder out there for everyone who's out there watching us live that you can get involved. You can drop your comments, and we put them to Frederick and Nick. So if you are watching, please feel free to comment. But yes, I think Chris was saying it's sort of like some of the living card games that are out there. It's like, what was that one you had? Was that the Star Wars Destiny one?
No. So one of the living card games that I had was the Lord of the Rings adventure.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's a great game. But what I like about living card games and yours is it's not booster pack related. You know, it's not random cards. It's not like Magic of the Gathering. You're not going to have the best cards and, you know, better the cards than other people. It's a level playing field. It is literally down to an element of luck and a bit of skill.
Yeah, very true. I'm a huge Magic the Gathering fan, have been for a long time. However, I also have a music background, and I played in a metal band for 10 years. And a lot of my, other friends and bands and stuff weren't collectors. They weren't big collectors. They didn't want to go spend $200 on getting some, tournament level competitive Magic deck to play. So that's one of the reasons I made this game, was I wanted something I could play with them when I would go over to their house and have get-togethers. I'm thinking, how can I make a game that bridges the gap between the nerd world that I live in and the normal world with everyone else who I'd still like to enjoy a game like that with? And so that's kind of what started all this. And I imagined, you brought up living card games. It is similar in a sense. I was always the DM type personality with Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, although I haven't played since 3rd edition. So I just bought a starter set for 5th edition because I want to brush up on the rules. But I was always one organizing the adventure. And I imagine that there's going to be someone of that personality in friend group who will collect the expansions and will craft decks for this week's game night, for example. So this person might say, okay, well, this week I grabbed the Phoenix first expansion. We're going to have the Twilight Lord from the Evernight Veil expansion. We're going to use the runes from this expansion and so forth. Maybe there's 2 gold dragons in this deck. Maybe there's no food cards. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to modify and they're going to make their own deck recipes for their game groups. And I believe, and I had this in mind from the start, the more expansions we get out, the more booster packs. The booster packs will just basically be extra options for that person to put in their decks to craft for their game nights. Yeah, people are going to create custom decks, and I'm going to feature them on the website as deck recipes for people that wanted to play those decks. So we could say, this deck was created by so-and-so. It's really good for 2 players, or really good for 4 players, or really good for people that are looking for more mercenary action, or there's more dragons in this deck, for example. So that's going to be happening a lot more as we pump out expansions. People are going to use that material to craft their own adventures for their game groups. And
I actually think this could potentially be a great new gateway game for new gamers. People who are not massive board gamers, but have the interest and something quick fire. We have this term on the team that we came up with. It's what we call an amuse-bouche. It's a small sample introduction to the hobby and into tabletop card games and board games, and I think your game fits into that category of an amuse-bouche game.
Awesome.
And then
Definitely.
so there's definite options and there's definite things on the horizon, which is really nice. I look forward to seeing the expansions, and I will definitely be keeping an eye out for that deluxe pack myself.
Yeah, I can't wait
Without-
for you all to play it. I'm happy that you were able to play the game. I love hearing about people overseas getting their copies. People from the UK, people from Germany, Russia. We've had people from South America, New Zealand, Australia. Like,
wow,
it's been because of TikTok, because it's a worldwide app. People from all over ended up seeing it, and I love hearing about their perspectives of being so far away, and what their thoughts are about the game. And it's the shipping is spendy, especially because of COVID. Like it's pretty expensive for me to ship from where I'm at, but I'm hoping in the future we can have like distribution centers that can bring that cost down overseas, because it's like $20 to ship to the UK or something like that. Like it's really expensive. But regardless, we have some people in your country that have bought the game and that I've been talking with, and I'm just happy to see the variety of people that have enjoyed the game.
Well, it's going to go in our rucksack for when we go to UK Game Expo this year, because it's light. It goes in the bag. We can play that while we're walking around, or going in between interviews, between different games that we're going to hopefully be seeing when we go. So it should be really exciting, really exciting. So it's been great. It's wonderful to have you. I think we've got a comment by the looks of it.
We do indeed.
Yeah.
From my lovely wife. She obviously must have finished playing around with whatever she was doing. So he's asking a question for our lovely competition winner Nick, asking what's the inspiration for Ink, and how you're getting all of your prizes.
Well, there you go. So I'm going to talk about my prizes in a minute, because I've managed to get around to 3 of them. But I read it on Facebook and I drove home and I thought, right, what's the point of a game? Well, the point is you're writing something. Write, ink, imp. And that was it. It was as I was driving thinking, that's what you're doing with a game. You're writing an adventure. So that was it. And I thought, I actually stood on my drive and just said, right, I'll do it now. That's it. No more thinking. Did it. And that was it. And I couldn't believe when I got the email to say, oh, you've won. So it was lucky, I think. Game wise, as I say, 3 of them. So Mini Memory Mischief that I got.
Yeah, from Nikita at Attikin Games. Yeah,
really enjoyed that one. Foul Play.
Yeah, from
one of our guests from After Dark Murder Mysteries.
Yeah,
I guess a few months ago.
Really enjoyed that. And Board Royale. I played some of that. But I'm glad it says in the instructions this may be a friendship breaker. It should add marriage breaker as well in it, because you've got to be fairly mean on that one, as I'm finding out, because I'm the one who's losing. So that's the way it's going.
Because am I right? Because when we had a conversation, your wife's into board games as much as you are.
Yeah, well, I was just saying before we came on air, when it was lovely to meet Frederick, and I have got the name of your website down, so I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, we have. We've often played board games, but then the children come along. Chris, you'll experience this increasingly. The children come along, and then another child comes along, and then you have work, and it's easy to forget it. And one thing I was just saying before we came on air that I'll reiterate. We found during lockdown the positive was the ability, sad things happening all around us. So we turned the television off. We banned news. So it's then time to go around your family. I've got he's about to turn 8, and there were days when he was, I don't want to know what's going on. It's really scary. Absolutely, the news is off totally now. We won't listen, and that's when we start to get into board games, and we sat down. And we rediscovered Lego. I built my Lego pirate ship that I got 30 years ago. We went back to the family values of the 4 of us around. What are we going to do together? That's what we did. So we started playing some board games again, and really enjoyed that. So when these came, my boy, he's quite good. As I say, he's nearly 8. And he said, right, we're starting with the foul play. I said, why? He said, it looks really interesting. So I have to say the packaging, although it does say 14 plus, I don't think it's too gruesome. And I think it's really, really testing his powers of deduction. Straight away, the options of the game are, do you want to play a good cop, so you're together, or a bad cop? He says, well, we'll try good cop. So I thought, okay, we'll work together. It didn't actually take him long, and you could have quite, I like what you just said, a moose boost. You need that. I really like that. You could have that 20 minutes, let's work something out, and why. And then before long, he's telling me, oh, you need to think about this. You've got to remember that clue. So it's that very, very clever. Just sit down and you can spend 20 minutes, half an hour working things out. If you like a thinker, in that way, not that kind of adrenaline rush in one way, but that real thinking game. We really enjoyed that. And my wife loved it too. Yeah. So that was the first one he picked, and I really enjoyed that one.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we were very fortunate, that a lot of our, friends of the show, the power of Twitter and the power of social media, that those games were donated for the competition. And it's nice that they've gone to, a family that rediscovered the hobby, and that's lovely to hear. So that's it's what it's about. I mean, let's face it, we're all clearly into board games, and the ethos behind a board game. What is it? It's you get together. You get round the table and you can play games and you can get together with friends. And with lockdown, I mean, I've heard and I've said this before and I'm saying it again. Lockdown, and COVID's a scary thing, and it stopped people from being able to be together. And the fact that during lockdown we've had a flurry of board game developers coming up with 2-player games. Games where they've got multiplayer, they're designed for multiplayers, but they've developed solo play, so people can still play these games. If you're a family of 2 or you're, or a family of 4, you've still got lots of options, and you're seeing more and more games coming out. And I think it inspired people to make games, and that's why there's such a market for them at the moment. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I've certainly discovered that, and it's really got us thinking and chatting about things. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it isn't TV, like you said, Nick. Let's face it. I mean, we've all been guilty of it. You come home, you've had a long day, you put on the TV, and that's all right. We're not going to mention obviously last year, because last year was just a horrible year for a lot of people. TV is negative, news is negative. You don't want that. So crack open a board game. And I think, George will probably vouch for me on this, because I know you don't watch TV that much. We actually like to prefer to play a game. Yeah.
We don't have a TV. We just found there was, when we moved into that house, we've found no reason to have a TV. That with all the streaming services that exist nowadays, why I don't want TV. I can get my news on demand when I want it, and I can filter out what I want and prepare to listen to, rather than having negativity shoved down my throat. And I would much rather sit down sit down for an evening with my wife playing a board game, or talking to friends, or doing amazing stuff like this and being creative. And for anyone who watches the show, you will know that we are working on our own board game, and it's one of the things that we've started out of COVID, of you getting our creative juices flowing and getting your book, starting working on your own designs. And
Yeah,
hopefully, I might actually get that finished one day.
Well, and the thing is, we now we're having the relax with COVID. We can actually now focus with our game a bit more, can't we? And we can actually get a bit more playtesting done. While we're still not kind of releasing any names of the game yet, because we want to make sure it's a viable game before we start saying anything. Because the last thing we want to do is have to redesign the rules after teasing it so much. But we will be keeping people in the loop. And I think we'll probably be, reaching out to our fellow Kickstarter experienced peoples and say, what have you learned? What's your lessons learned? And I'm going to target you with that, Frederick. If you were to go back and redo Kickstarter now, what would you do different? Or would you not use it?
Well, I think if we would have gone to TikTok first to then promote the Kickstarter, I think it would have been successful. So in my mind, I've been recommending anyone who's got a project to get on TikTok, specifically because their algorithm is so volatile, but I mean that in the best possible way. Unexpected videos go viral all the time. That doesn't happen on Instagram anymore. That doesn't happen on Facebook anymore. It's all controlled. And you have to pay for the exposure. But TikTok, anybody can go viral. You can go viral in an account with 100 followers on TikTok right now. So I think TikTok is more powerful than Kickstarter. So I would have started there earlier. But I thought originally that TikTok was just a dancing app or something. Because I used to work at a phone sales store, and people would come into the store to do TikToks, and that's all they were doing. So I'm like, that I didn't even have any interest or didn't even think there was a place for games or anything like that. And I remember my roommate was saying, you should try TikTok. And at first I kind of laughed at him. I was like, yeah, so I can dance around with the cards in my hand or something. And he was like, no, I see small businesses all the time on that app. And so then I started thinking, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And he was right. So I would have done TikTok 6 months earlier. And then we probably would have been able to hit our goal on Kickstarter. But at this point, I almost feel like Kickstarter wasn't even necessary just because of the support that we received from people that legitimately, I think that they wanted, like you're saying, in the midst of all this bad news, I think they wanted to see something happen. So when they find something that they're interested in on TikTok that they believe in, and it's somebody trying to make something good out of a bad year, I think people kind of took that to heart a little bit. And I received messages like from people saying that they were happy to see something happening, people trying to still make things happen, not just me, many people trying to get old projects finished, even if it's something as simple as like home renovation, which everybody started doing during COVID, because they're like, we're sitting in the house, let's fix this that we've been trying to putting off for 10 years. People worked on themselves in a way that I don't think we had the time to do beforehand. It's like you were saying, people rediscovering their love for board games. So I think there was a lot of people that were watching this happen on social media during the pandemic and were wanting to help, to have some kind of a silver lining to the negativity they were hearing on the news apps. And, you know, Facebook and everything's got news integrated into it now, so it's kind of hard to escape. TikTok, you don't have to hear any of that stuff. The algorithm's so good. You tell it you want to see that kind of a video, and you don't see it. So anyway,
no, it's great, and it's nice to hear someone, you know, talking about a different platform for once. Because let's face it, the board game community, rely on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, quite a lot. And it's nice though that indeed independent developers, have a platform for it. But it's nice to see other positive, stories coming out of new platforms like TikTok. So no, it really is nice to hear and someone talk something positive about something else for once. So it's good.
Can I just add, what I took from Frederick's story is that he didn't give up the first time and he went back and the product actually sold itself. So I'm really impressed by, there's a hurdle. Don't give up, just keep trying. So well done to you. I've really taken that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing feat. Well done, and the fact that you've also did a lot of the development yourself prior to it as well. Because a lot of time people will splash out images and some graphics, and then they'll finish them off once they've had the funding come through. So the fact that you did, got all that illustration done prior to that is a small feat in itself as well.
We knew early on that we were going to make the game happen one way or another. It was just a matter of finding the right path. So we just I think that's the main reason why we did that. We're like, let's just get the art done now, because Kyle, he was shut down too, and he was happy to have steady work during COVID. So it was a win-win for everybody. It's like, let's just do this thing. Let's hire him on. Let's get it done. The details will work themselves out, find a way, whether it's Kickstarter, whether it's another avenue. We didn't even know TikTok was a viable option yet. Yeah. But I can't stress this enough. If you are doing a project, get on TikTok, because I have a feeling in another couple years it might turn into a Facebook or Instagram. The reach will start to diminish, and they'll try to sell you back your own reach, which is what Facebook did. You had the reach, then they took it away, then they sold it back to you. That's probably going to happen with TikTok. So it was a perfect storm of events. Pandemic, new app that's all over the place. Like this kind of a thing, a lot of it's luck. I'm just being real. Like, yes, there was perseverance, but a lot of it was like the perfect storm of this is the time. And so I've been encouraging anyone I know that has an idea. This is the year. If you didn't start last year, start this year.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great piece of advice. So and it's a nice insight. So thank you very much for that, Frederick. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a great year for us because we're taking the time to kind of focus on our social media. We're going to get the play testing done on our game. Our social media following is blowing up. The Twitter community is another one that's very vocal and a great community. So without that, we wouldn't have the guest lineups that we have for the show, because we don't, while you utilize Facebook, we don't get that much from that. A lot of our guests and us, that we got lined up, all come through Twitter, and of course TikTok, like yourself. I was just glued to that video that you put on. And I was like, right, I want to know more. And that's when we reached out to you, and that's how we've made today happen. So it's great, that fact that we've been able to get you on the show and come to talk about it. It's just the power of, these platforms, and it's great. So, but I was going to lead on with that is, we will be keeping people up to date as and when we got something new to talk about. Please be aware that our podcast is now running, which is Podcast of a Lincoln Geek. You can listen to that on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, and you can get to it from our website, which I think is just there along across the bottom of the screen. Episode 2 is coming out tomorrow. So if you haven't seen the show already or the podcast already, you can watch episode 1. They're quite short episodes. They're 15 to 20 minutes. Like I say, episode 2 is tomorrow, and we're doing them bi-weekly at the moment. If we find that, people are wanting to hear more, we might change the schedule and up it to 1 a week. But that's dependent on our podcast editor, Gregor, who's not on the show tonight. So, but we'll have a chat about that, and we'll see how things go. But without COVID, we wouldn't be where we are now. We didn't have the live show for the first 4 years. We just did written reviews, and we had we focused on social media. We released the website, which is our main kind of go-to point for everyone for the podcast, for this video. Like I said, we get a lot of rewatch, and it's just developed, it's blossomed because of the restrictions we had. We are not changing anything. Just because things are getting better in the world, fingers crossed, and continues to, we will be continuing with the live shows. We'll be continuing with the podcast, and we'll be continuing with our written reviews. So if you are watching this on rewatch and you want to learn more about what we do and what Diary Lincoln Geek can do for you, please do go check out our website, which is www.doalg.co.uk. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Go and check it out. If you're an independent designer and you're doing a board game and you want to talk to us and maybe come on the show, you can email us as well. Our email message is not on the page, but it is on the website. You can contact us there. We can arrange for you to come on the show and talk to us about your game, what you've got lined up, what you've got coming. And we're always happy to chat to people, aren't we, George? We always are.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would say we've got guests lined up for the rest of the year. Yeah, I'll say that it's really taken off. We love it. And I'll say for anyone out there, if you want to hear our thoughts of Sam, who Frederick very kindly sent the review copy of Dragonvault 2, that review will be going up live on the website tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Yes, it is. Before we go, because we're not doing too bad on time at the moment, I just wanted to just remind people that, of course, yes, we've got the podcast, we've got the live show that we do, but like I say, those written reviews are on the website, and we even have an explanation on our scoring system, because we're not Board Game Geek. We have our own scoring system, don't we, George? We rate a game from 1 to 6. It's a D6. It's a game. Yeah. So we rate it that way. So if you want to know more about our rating system, you can check that on the website as well. But yeah, our next guests on the next live show is going to be Harvest Games. These are the guys that developed the game that you were talking about earlier, Nick, which is, of course, Board Royale. So do check that out and come on the show. I'm sure if you've got any questions, they will happily answer them.
How to win.
Yeah. Be ruthless.
Yeah, it is a very clever game, I have to say. Really enjoyed it, but it is ruthless.
Yeah. Since you play it with your wife, have you played the Not Safe for Work expansion?
No, we've left that because what we decided to do is do the military version, and we thought we'd really get to know that properly first. So again, it's spreading it out. Well, I do feel very chuffed I've won them, and we're benefiting, but equally, I don't want to rush it. We've got time, so we're trying to savor them, for want of a better expression.
I highly recommend the skills expansion when you get to it.
Okay, I'll bear that one in mind.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm also going to say again, thank you very much, Frederick, from Dragonvault, for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, hopefully maybe you can come back when you're ready to release the expansion and, give us a sneaky peek at some point, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to.
Yeah, fantastic. Brilliant. Well, look, you can follow us on all our platforms, guys. We're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and of course, we've got the website and on YouTube. So it's been lovely chatting to everyone. We're actually going to finish early tonight. It'll be nice to get some time back for everyone to go and spend some time with their families and play some board games. So, guys,
we'll get a Dragonvault in.
yeah, exactly. Go and order that copy from Dragonvault. Get it on pre-order because it is actually a good game. It's like I say, it's an amuse-bouche of games. We like it. It plays well. So yeah, go check it out. And everyone, just take care and stay safe and keep gaming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye, guys.